I have a bit of a confession to make. Well, this may come as a bit of a surprise. I'm actually very lazy. And if there's one thing I really hate, it's spending a lot of time to set up for different exercises between sets. And so, I built a machine that lets me do the exercises that I do most frequently with as little setup between as possible. I took two of my favorite pieces, which was the 3D Smith machine, aka the Jones machine, and the hip thrust machine, which I've modified before, and I decided to turn them into a Franken machine. Now, what prompted this in the first place was needing to make a little bit more room in my gym. And as much as I love my hip thrust machine, we've all probably talked to this guy.
It's a single exercise piece of equipment! You can't put that in a home gym! It takes up too much square footage!
Now, I haven't really decided what to call it yet. Maybe it's the Franken thrust or the Hipstein machine, but you get the point. And now I'm able to do many of my favorite exercises with virtually zero setup time in between. So let me show you what this machine can do. All right, now, the setup here is pretty simple. As you can see, here we have the frame of the hip thrust machine. And what I've done is I've taken off the pendulum that used to be here, as well as the arms, and just kept the frame and this roller pad. And then we have this Jones machine that sits on top of it, or rather the frame of the hip thrust machine stays in the Jones machine. So let me show you everything that it can do. We can set this into a high position, and now we can do our squats, and we can either do those with the Jones machine unlocked, or we can keep it locked. If we want to make it a standard Smith machine, we still have the option of locking it in place, and now it's just a regular Smith machine. But that's just the start. So the other thing I've done is I've drilled some additional lockout holes here. Okay, I gotta say, that was one of the hardest holes I've ever had to drill. Now, since we have this convenient tilt pad from the hip thrust machine right here, we can unlock the Smith machine, move it over to where I made the new holes, lock it in here. Now we can do standing calf raises. But maybe standing calf raises aren't your jam. We can do seated calf raises too. Let's just set this lower. And grab this plyo box. And now we have a seated calf raise machine. But wait, there's more. Set this to about a 5 or a 6. Unlock these. Let me get this plyo box out of the way. So now, if you want to do hip thrusts, angle this up, get in position, boom. And now I have a hip thrust machine. It's ready to go. And thanks to the freedom of motion of the Jones machine, this actually feels really good. Even better than the hip thrust machine that I had built by modifying the original one. Now, it's no surprise that a lot of commercial machines are starting to adopt this design. But wait, there's more. Since we have this convenient tilt pad here, I can also do my squats with a heel raised position since I don't have the greatest ankle mobility. So now check this out. And again, thanks to this pad being here, I can also do movements like RDLs or deadlifts and get some additional range of motion, since a lot of Smith machines tend to be limited by range of motion when it comes to these sorts of exercises. Okay, I'm going to unlock it for this one. But wait, there's more. Since we have this roller that's always built in here, this is also always a great setup for exercises like Bulgarian split squats. Just put my foot, ready to go. And we can take advantage of this built-in pad right here and do movements like reverse step downs or reverse lunges as well. Simply start here, the end of the range of motion of the machine. So there you have it. We have at least 6 common exercises that this machine can perform in the space of one machine. And the greatest part is there's basically no setup time required to reconfigure for different exercises. Obviously, I didn't have any plates loaded in the machine, so when you're reconfiguring the machine for different height levels, if you're going from, say, hip thrusts to standing calf raises or Bulgarian split squats, you still have to take your plates on and off, but that's just cost of doing business. Well, I think it's a really promising design and it's really working for me in my home gym. Now, unfortunately, these sorts of Jones machines or 3D Smith machines are somewhat of a rare animal, and I think it's a really slept on design. Now, we saw RitFit teasing that they're going to be adding a 3D Smith machine type of an element to their flagship all-in-one coming out soon, although that one looks like it's only going to have 6 or 9 inches or so of horizontal range of motion. But I think this is a really slept on design, and I think that in the future, home gym companies that want to position themselves as innovators are going to start adopting this sort of a design to stay ahead of the pack. So while it may not be combined with a hip thrust machine as I've done, I think it's something that we'll probably start seeing in all-in-one racks sometime soon. Now, if I were to integrate a Jones machine into an all-in-one rack, the way I would do it is I would run that horizontal guide rail somewhere inside of the rack along the whole distance of the rack, like this. And maybe put it on the outside to save some space, or on the inside, because I really don't think it would get in the way that much. And then you run that whole Jones spotter assembly along this guide rail. And for stability, I would probably have one on top too, since my Jones machine only has the bottom rail and it's got a bit more wobble than I like. And then, with the Jones mechanism built in, add some kind of a hip thrust roller, a nice thick pad that can drop in and out of here to make setting up for hip thrusts or Bulgarian split squats really easy. Kind of like some of the free motion and hoist functional trainers do, and similar to that backrest or chest support accessory from Prime Fitness. I think that design would really add a lot of versatility to an all-in-one gym while still taking the same footprint, and I think that's going to be the way of the future. And I think that companies will adopt that design sometime in the next couple of years. I hope you enjoyed watching the video on my Franken hip thrust machine. Let me know what you think about this machine and the concept of Jones machines in the comments, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.